What's up, YouTube fam? It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another video. In today's video, I'll be discussing the recent case of Raissa Kengne. She's accused of taking 2 people's lives and critically injuring another in Midtown, Atlanta on August 22nd, 2022. 2 of the 3 victims were included in a lengthy federal lawsuit she had filed against them and 29 others over the summer. Before we get into this video, welcome if you're new here to our channel. Please feel free to subscribe, click that notification bell to get notified every time we upload. If you're rocking with the content, smash that like button. Share this video with everyone you know. Make sure you watch until the end to hear the full story. All right, let's dive a little deeper into this story. I'm sure many of you fam have heard or read or seen the national and even international headlines about Raissa Kengne, a suspect in a hit spree that claimed the lives of 2 men and critically injured another in Midtown Atlanta a couple weeks ago. She was also accused of opening fire on a 4th person, but the individual was not injured. Almost every law enforcement agency was present on Peachtree Street in Midtown. The scene was chaotic. Every news station and publication covered the unfolding story. On August 22nd, I remember scrolling through my timeline on various platforms to see the breaking news. They posted about an active shooter alert at a condominium at 1280 West in Midtown. I saw the reports early in the afternoon. Adjacent businesses and buildings were all on lockdown. Law enforcement also had a majority of the streets in the area blocked off. There were frantic 911 calls that poured in to report the scary incident. Residents of the condominium posted videos and statuses of their current situation. Some were in the lobby, not able to get to their condos as officers swarmed the building. One video showed law enforcement trying to get onto an elevator in the building lobby. Atlanta police wrote that officers responded to a person shot call at 1280 West Peachtree Street. When officers arrived on the scene, they located 2 individuals who appeared to have been hit. One of the people had passed away, and the second one was taken to the hospital for treatment. While the officers were at the 1280 West Peachtree building, there was another report of a shooting that took place at 1110 Peachtree Street around 2 p.m. It was just a few blocks from the location of the first incident. Upon arrival, officers found 1 person inside that was hit and critically wounded. The person was taken to the hospital for treatment, but sadly later passed away. With the second incident taking place, police treated the situation as an active shooter call. As I continued to follow the story, officers released a photo / kind of video of the person they said they believe was the active hitter. I was shocked when I saw the photo, not because she was melanated, but also because of her stature and mannerisms. She was moving so calmly as if she was just heading out. The person shown in the photo was 34-year-old Cameroonian native Raissa Kengne. Authorities were able to identify Raissa with the help of witnesses and surveillance footage from the crime scenes and surrounding areas. Law enforcement was also able to find out that she took a taxi away from the crime scene. They tracked down the cab driver and their location, which ultimately led them to arresting Raissa almost 2 hours later at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta Airport without incident. There are photos and videos of her arrest all over the internet. After Raissa was arrested, she was charged with 4 counts of aggravated possession of a firearm and false imprisonment. She was denied bail at her first hearing and is currently being held at Fulton County Jail. So who is Raissa Kengne? Who were the victims? And what is their connection to each other? Well, let's start with Raissa. Well, not much is known about her. I believe she is Cameroonian. She has been living in Atlanta for quite some time, and she's an IT professional, and from what I heard, somewhat respected in her field. One source said she is a naturalized citizen of the United States, but I'm not sure how reliable that source is, so take that information with a grain of salt. Anyway, Raissa is a graduate of Georgia State University's College of Business, where she received a bachelor's degree in accounting and finance, and she was treasurer of Delta Epsilon. She ultimately obtained her master's degree in information systems audit and control, according to her LinkedIn page. According to her LinkedIn profile, she is currently the president and CEO of Kengne Corp. Prior to becoming her own boss, she worked as an IT audit manager at a public accounting firm, BDO USA, in Atlanta. She worked at the company in Atlanta from August 2019 until November 2021. Okay, now that we have a little background on Raissa, who were the people she allegedly targeted? The first two people that were hit at the condominium building were 60-year-old Michael Shinners, who was the building's property manager, the one who sadly passed away. The second man who was hit and wounded is 68-year-old Michael Horn, the building's chief engineer. Both men were employed by Beacon Management Services, the company that manages the condominium building at 1280 West. According to reports, she is also accused of holding another building employee hostage, demanding their personal property. Fortunately, he was not injured. The third person hit at the second location was 41-year-old Wesley Freeman, an IS Insurance Managing Director, and he worked at BDO in Atlanta, according to his LinkedIn profile, which has since been deleted. So the third question, how are they all connected? And why did Raissa allegedly target these men? According to reports, Raissa was a longtime resident of the 1280 West condominium building, the same building where she is accused of hitting and taking Michael Shinner's life and injuring another employee. And Wesley Freeman, who worked at BDO USA, was Raissa's former supervisor before she left the company. According to what Raissa published on her LinkedIn page a week or so prior to the incident, she lashed out at BDO, Wesley Freeman, Atlanta Police Department, and Beacon Management Services. Raissa filed a nearly 400 to 600 page federal whistleblower lawsuit earlier this summer that named several defendants, including Beacon Management Services, Michael Shinners, BDO USA, and Wesley Freeman. In one post, she claimed BDO retaliated against her for reporting violations of auditing standards pertaining to IT audit engagements. Raissa wrote that she was constructively discharged by the firm. Part of the post also reads, "My home was broken into. My life and my family's lives were threatened, not only by BDO USA LLP and its partners and members of its senior management team, but also by their clients. Clients actually threatened me." Furthermore, BDO USA employees and partners leveraged their relationship with people living in my condominium in order to pursue retaliation at my home. Another part read, "You bet I am suing all of them. It's a shame that the sixth biggest public accounting firm has criminals at the top. No one is above the law." She also wrote, "If you're planning to move to a condominium, I would advise that you stay away from one managed by Beacon Management Services. They are not only incompetent, but criminal as well." According to CPAPracticeAdvisor.com, the filing says Raissa Kengne faced retaliation, persecution, harassment, intimidation, threats, burglary, computer hacking, phone spoofing, and other attacks after reporting to the relevant authorities a violation of the SEC regulations, PCAOB standards, the antitrust law, and the circumvention of the law prohibiting employers from asking about an applicant's pay history in the state of Georgia. The unlawful, criminal, immoral, and illegal acts presented in this instrument were perpetrated by the defendants. The case was moved to a federal court in July, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. The judge presiding over the case eventually ordered to strike Raissa's original complaint from the docket and denied her motions. The week prior to the incident, Raissa Kengne, who was representing herself, filed an appeal to the judge's order with the 11th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals, the newspaper reported. Now, according to Vice.com, Raissa had given a talk at the Geek Week Atlanta security conference called Fraud in Accounting. According to her LinkedIn profile, the presentation was supposed to cover concrete examples of unethical behavior exhibited by public accounting firms in the U.S. and abroad, as well as conditions that give rise to the fraud. So like Vice said in that article, it's relevant in the case because in some sense, it aligns very closely with what she accused her alleged victims of committing in the lawsuit she filed. It seems like Raissa was very passionate about putting a stop to fraud in the field, but what caused her to allegedly snap like that? Another interesting piece of information that I came across was a video of Raissa that she posted on her LinkedIn profile. In this video, she went to go visit an Atlanta Police Department precinct where she was requesting for a police report from a burglary that she reported back in 2021 to be updated because the police report that she received had that it was a non-crime. And Raissa felt as though the reporting officer who did the original police reports was in error of reporting it as a non-crime. So when the sergeant came to the front, she explained to her that in a nutshell, the responding officer deemed it as non-criminal because there was no sign of forced entry or there was no sign of an actual burglary that took place. So the responding officer, just made the formal report and listed it as non-criminal. In the end, after a few more moments of back and forth between Sergeant and Raissa, she then says, well, whatever happens, happens, and the video ended. So it's obvious that there was a lot going on leading up to this unfortunate and tragic incident. Regardless of said motive, my condolences to the victims' families and my prayers are for all involved in this horrific incident. Now, I do believe there are some true parts to Raissa's concerns and allegations, maybe when it comes to her former place of employment. I do believe she may have witnessed some shady business and called the higher-ups out on their discrepancies. I do think they retaliated by letting her go, but I strongly believe it stopped there. I could be wrong, but I believe a serious mental illness may have had something to do with Raissa Kengne's actions. Now, just because a person is well educated, extremely intelligent, and successful, they are not immune to mental illness. Have any of you ever seen the movie A Beautiful Mind? Well, if not, check it out. Russell Crowe plays an extremely intelligent man who graduated from an Ivy League school and believed that he was on a top secret mission from a guy that he thought was a part of the CIA. He had a college roommate that he hung out with and talked to all the time, and he would also talk to a little girl. As the movie progresses, you find out that he is a paranoid schizophrenic, and the people, the secret agent, the mission, the roommate, their friendship, and the little girl were all hallucinations. And as his disease progressed, so did the hallucinations and the voices in his head. He almost harmed his family and lost his friends. Eventually, he got help in managing the disorder and went on to win many accolades for his work and studies. So with that little story, I believe Raissa may be suffering from some type of mental illness, like paranoia or maybe a paranoid schizophrenic. I'm no doctor to diagnose anyone, so that's just my observation and opinion. According to reports, she also asked the cab driver to go to her former attorney's home, who is also listed in her federal lawsuit, but no one came to the door. She came back to the cab and asked him to take her to Marietta. He told her he couldn't because he had plans on going the opposite way to the airport, so she agreed to go to the airport instead. As they conversated, the cab driver revealed that law enforcement had contacted him about her and what they accused her of. As he spoke, she calmly denied knowing what he was talking about and told him he was safe. So her steps seemed to be very calculated and methodical. It seemed like she was almost using him to carry out another incident. Maybe. As she arrived to the airport, she still had the weapon on her, so was she planning on leaving, or was that her last effort to try to flee? Why would she take the weapon knowing she had to go through TSA? I also found a comment on a Reddit thread about the incident and Raissa. The person who commented had this to say about Raissa. So having known Raissa for 12 to 13 years, I can tell you several things. Firstly, she is crazy, and she has been alleging that people have been breaking into her unit for many, many years. She would turn the TVs off in the club room while people watched games. She broke the microwave in the club room a few months ago and threw it on the ground. Was also getting into arguments with the staff and the building and alleging fraud. This is 12 to 13 years. Mr. Shinners, on the other hand, was a consummate professional and would have never allowed anyone into her unit. He even showed her videos of her floor showing nobody entered her unit. If you knew her and you knew the people she shot, you'd realize that there was no truth to her allegations, and she became increasingly paranoid. So, was Raissa just suffering from a severe bout of paranoia, or were her concerns in her lawsuit valid and she was in fear for her life? Fam, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Please try to be as respectful as you can in the comments, or else YouTube will delete them. Alright fam, that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I know that was a lot of information to unpack. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm out.